So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And then like the generation, they talk so much shit about the game today.
Yeah.
And it makes you go back and watch the game back then, and it makes you not even want to appreciate it no more like I did when I was a kid. Like, it was like...
These are the moments when Shaquille O'Neal publicly questioned LeBron James's legacy, fear factor, and claim to greatness. For over a decade, Shaq has been dropping truth bombs that the modern media refuses to acknowledge. And what he revealed in March 2024 sent shockwaves through the basketball world. This isn't about hating on LeBron, let me be clear from the start. What we're examining here is why one of the greatest centers to ever play the game, someone who actually suited up alongside LeBron, consistently refuses to crown him as the greatest. When you hear what Shaq said about fear, about killer instinct, and about the real difference between LeBron and the legends who came before him, you'll understand why so many of us who watched Jordan and Kobe dominate have always had our doubts. March 2024 brought a statement on Shaq's podcast that had LeBron's fan base absolutely losing their minds. During an episode of the big podcast featuring his former teammate Mario Chalmers, Shaq dropped something that cut straight to the heart of the GOAT debate, and what he said cannot be unsaid. The exact words were these.
So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And when pressed on it, Shaq doubled down without hesitation. LeBron tried to clap back on Instagram by posting about his consecutive double-digit scoring streak being longer than Shaq's entire career, which is a cute stat, but completely misses the point. Nobody fears him, and you know what? That matters more than almost anything else when we're talking about who's the greatest to ever do it. Mario Chalmers, who won 2 championships playing alongside LeBron in Miami, elaborated on exactly why players don't fear him the way they feared Jordan or Kobe. His explanation was telling.
I didn't think players really feared LeBron like they did Jordan.
I never heard anybody say it.
And it's not that you shouldn't fear LeBron. I just think at the end of the day, LeBron has been through so much that he wanted to be liked. So it was kind of like,
and he is a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do things
nice.
now where like people like me, people respect me.
LeBron wanted to be liked, which sounds nice until you compare that to Jordan and Kobe, who wanted to destroy you. They didn't care if you liked them, didn't care if you respected them off the court. They just wanted you lying awake at night dreading having to guard them the next day. November 2011 brought Shaq's memoir, Shaq Uncut, My Story, and the criticisms didn't start in 2024 like most people think. What he revealed about playing with LeBron in Cleveland during the 2009 to 2010 season was absolutely damning. The kind of stuff that gets buried because nobody wants to acknowledge it. Shaq wrote about how their coach, Mike Brown, treated LeBron with kid gloves, saying, "Our coach Mike Brown was a nice guy, but he had to live on edge because nobody was supposed to be confrontational with LeBron. Nobody wanted him to leave Cleveland, so he was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do." The entire organization was so terrified of LeBron leaving that they let him operate under a different set of rules than everyone else, which creates a problem when you're trying to build a championship culture. Shaq detailed a specific incident in a film session where LeBron didn't get back on defense after a missed shot, and Mike Brown said nothing. But on the very next clip, when Mo Williams did the same thing, suddenly Brown was all over him with, "Yo, Mo, we can't have that." Delonte West actually confronted this double standard according to Shaq, saying, "Everyone has to be accountable for what they do, not just some of us." But nothing changed because LeBron was untouchable. Can you imagine Jordan or Kobe getting that kind of treatment? Can you picture Phil Jackson letting them skip defensive assignments without consequence? He would have benched them on the spot, but with LeBron the rules were different, and they always have been. Writing about the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals and the 2011 NBA Finals, Shaq questioned LeBron's performance in the biggest moments, and his words carry weight because he was there. There's no question in Game 5 LeBron was kind of out of it. I always believed he could turn it on at any moment, but for some reason he didn't. Not against the Celtics in 2010, and not against the Mavericks in 2011. It was weird. It's one thing to be a passer, but you are supposed to be the one. Shaq continued with an observation that still stings. "I'm watching him play against Dallas, and they're swinging the ball, and they get him a perfect open look and he's kicking it to Mario Chalmers. Makes no sense. This comes from someone who played with both LeBron and Kobe, someone who knows what championship mentality looks like up close. When asked to compare coaching the two, Shaq wrote, "I'm not sure if Kobe is going to listen to Mike Brown. LeBron never really did. Here's what we do know. Kobe will definitely be in charge." That's not a compliment to LeBron, that's Shaq saying Kobe had the alpha mentality that LeBron lacked and always will lack. June 2015 brought Shaq to the Dan Patrick Show, and when asked point blank to choose between Kobe or LeBron, his answer was immediate and definitive without any hesitation or hedging.
What about Kobe and LeBron in their prime?
Well, I'll play with both of them, and Kobe has that killer instinct, and I'll probably have to go with Kobe.
Killer instinct, that phrase keeps coming up because it separates the good from the truly great. The thing that made Jordan take the last shot every single time, regardless of whether he'd been hot or cold, the thing that made Kobe drop 81 points because he refused to let his team lose, that's what we're talking about when we say killer instinct. During an ESPN promotional event in Hong Kong that same year, Shaq elaborated, and his comparison revealed everything. Young LeBron was more like Magic Johnson. He was sort of like Magic with Jordan's abilities. He liked to pass and he liked to get it up, but Mike was Mike. He was just special, like no one else. Notice how Shaq compared LeBron to Magic, not Jordan, which tells you everything you need to know. Magic was incredible as a top 5 player all time, but Magic isn't in the GOAT conversation with Jordan, and neither is LeBron. June 2021 brought LeBron publicly criticizing the NBA's compressed schedule after multiple players got injured, and Shaq wasn't having any of it.
If you're making $30 million, 80 games is good enough.
All right, 2 more things real quick. Go ahead.
So you want me to pay you $30 million to play 30 games? Hell no.
Right.
No. 80 games is fine, because I did it, Jerry West did it, Kareem did it, Magic did it, Bird did it, Bernard King, like all the great legends before us did it.
That's the difference between generations laid out in plain English. Jordan played 82 games a season without complaint. Shaq played 82 games and dominated. They didn't load manage or whine about the schedule. They showed up, they dominated, and they let their play do the talking instead of making excuses.
Couldn't believe that an NBA player could make $1 million. And now these guys are so lucky and blessed, and they can't play basketball 3 or 4 days a week. And I know they hide behind all the analytical bullshit from their agents and people like that. What they're really trying to do is extend their career. The way the money's been and going, depending on who you are, you're going to be able to make another $50, $70, $100 million and probably more going forward if you can extend your career 2 or 3 years.
October 2022 brought Shaq to the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, and he made his position crystal clear without any ambiguity.
I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, but for me it's always Dr. J and Michael Jordan, Magic and those guys.
Shaq unveiled his official top 10 players of all time, and the order speaks volumes about where LeBron really stands.
Curry at the 1.
Curry, okay.
Kobe at the 2. Jordan at the 3. Tim Duncan at the 4.
Okay.
And me at the 5.
And this isn't some hot take from a talking head who never played. This comes from a 15-time All-Star, a 4-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP who played with both LeBron and Kobe and knows greatness when he sees it. His conclusion after all that experience, after all those years competing and watching, is clear as day. Jordan is the GOAT. Kobe is number 2. LeBron is number 3. What's even more telling is that Shaq has repeatedly left LeBron off his all-time starting 5 selections, which says more than any direct criticism ever could. The Big Podcast brought another point about why LeBron's longevity statistics are misleading. And this is context that his supporters conveniently ignore every single time. When asked if today's NBA is less physical, Shaq's response was definitive and backed by decades of experience.
But our game is supposed to be more structured. Well, this game we're watching now, I don't know what the we're watching now.
They say, I said the 90s and 80s was way harder than this. You guys, is like kind of soft.
Like right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy, but when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But
LeBron has incredible longevity, and he's the all-time leading scorer. But he did it in an era where hand-checking is illegal, and any hard foul results in flagrants and suspensions. Jordan put up his numbers while getting hammered by the bad boy Pistons. Kobe dominated while teams were still allowed to play physical defense. But LeBron gets a whistle if you breathe on him wrong. Shaq also addressed the modern players directly with words that capture his frustration.
you know, people get mad. It's just a product of what I see. I've seen what greatness is. Been there, played with them. I don't see that all the time over here.
When someone suggested he was hating, Shaq responded without backing down.
It never happens. You call it hate if you want. But even with the word hate, like these kids that like to throw that word around. If you ain't great and I'm great, how the can I hate on you? That don't make no sense.
That's not hate. That's standards. That's someone who competed against the best refusing to lower the bar just because the current generation has good PR teams and social media campaigns. Shaq isn't alone in these assessments, and that's what makes this so powerful. Charles Barkley on the Bill Simmons podcast said this about LeBron and his camp.
If you do not say he's the greatest of all time, you're committing treason.
Scottie Pippen on ESPN's First Take in February 2019 said,
"When I look at LeBron, he's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player. When you talk about trying to compare Michael's instinct, his ability to take over games, his ability to want to have that last shot.
And demoralize you.
Yes.
And scare the living hell out of you.
LeBron doesn't have that gene.
Kevin Garnett on a podcast with Bill Simmons and Adam Sandler in 2019 said about the Celtics beating LeBron's Cavaliers.
Nothing? Man, listen, let me say something to you. The C's, we didn't give a fuck about LeBron. We didn't fear LeBron, and we didn't think that he can beat all five of us. And that's how it felt. He was trying to consolidate because he didn't want the pressure on him.
Magic Johnson at InvestFest 2025, when asked about Jordan versus LeBron, said,
"Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but no.
This isn't one bitter old player with an axe to grind. This is a chorus of the greatest players in basketball history, all saying the same thing. LeBron is great, but he's not Michael, he's not Kobe, he doesn't have what they had, and he never will." Shaq has also defended LeBron at times, and being fair means acknowledging that complexity. On Drink Champs in October 2022, he challenged the killer instinct criticism. If you don't have killer instinct, how you get 38,000 points. On the Big Podcast with JJ Redick in 2024, Shaq called LeBron the greatest young leader I've ever seen, and admitted, "When I got to Cleveland with Bron already had that shit under control. I was super impressed." This isn't about Shaq completely dismissing LeBron or pretending he's not great. What we're seeing is Shaq recognizing what LeBron is and what he isn't, drawing a line between all-time great and greatest of all time. LeBron is an all-time great as a top 3 player who's accomplished things that will never be duplicated. But he's not the greatest, and there's a difference. He doesn't have the fear factor that made opponents dread facing Jordan. He doesn't have the killer instinct that drove Kobe to score 81. He started the super team era instead of beating the competition. He plays in a softer era with inflated statistics. When you put him up against Jordan and Kobe, when you really compare the mentality and the clutch performance and the way they dominated their opponents psychologically and physically, LeBron comes up short every single time. Shaq's perspective matters more than any talking head on ESPN or any LeBron fanboy on social media because he actually played at the highest level. 4 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 15 All-Star selections, and he dominated an era of basketball that was infinitely more physical and competitive than today's game. He played with both LeBron and Kobe, so he has direct comparison points that none of us have, and his conclusions carry the weight of lived experience. His conclusion after all of that experience, after all those years competing and watching and analyzing, is clear. Jordan is the GOAT. Kobe is number 2. LeBron is number 3. That's not disrespect and it's not hate. That's the truth from someone who actually knows what greatness looks like up close. someone who competed against the best and won at the highest level. The dark truth that Shaq exposed isn't that LeBron is bad or overrated in the traditional sense, but that LeBron, despite all his accomplishments and all his stats and all the media hype and the carefully curated narrative, still doesn't have what made Jordan and Kobe truly great. He doesn't have the fear factor that paralyzed opponents. He doesn't have the killer instinct that demanded the ball in clutch moments. He wanted to be liked instead of feared, which sounds noble until you realize that in the arena of basketball greatness, being feared matters more. That's why he'll never be the greatest. No matter how many points he scores or how long he plays or how many times the media tries to force the narrative. Shaq's been telling us this for over a decade now. Maybe it's time we started listening.